welcome back to Master Site for Game 3 of Adepticon. Today we're going to have another good game for you here. It's going to be my Nightstalkers versus John Green's Twilight. John Green and I have a little bit of history. We've played each other a few times. I think we first met back in at Lady of the Lake. I think it was 3 years ago or so now. Or maybe it was 4 years ago now. But we played there, and we also played just last year at Lone Wolf, which was a great game. He actually played my Nightstalkers at Lone Wolf as well, back before the recent edition has changed them. So John and I have had a lot of good games, so I expect nothing less out of this one here. So let's go ahead and dive into his list. So he has 4 Blade Dancer Neophytes regiments, 2 troops of Shadowhounds, 2 hordes of Fiends, 1 with Jesse's Boots. He has Mikael, and then he has 3 Chromebound Archfiends. So very just straightforward. Not very many units variation. So 12 drops, 23 unit strength. He's just looking to go fast and punch you in the face. So let's go ahead and take a look. There's John Green. And here is what the field looks like. And this is after I realized I haven't taken a picture yet for deployment. So my scarecrows have moved. So in this game we were playing push. So we each have 3 tokens, and then 1 in the center, obviously. So terrain-wise, we got a couple of buildings off on the left, an obstacle here. We had flat on the back left, hill. We had another flat piece up close to him, and then forest in the middle, forest in the bottom right. John has deployed 2 Archfiends here. Shadowhound behind 1, 2, 3, 4 regiments. The last Archfiend there. The regiments being the Blade Dancer Neophytes. Then he has another Shadowhound troop, Mikael, right next to him. And then his 2 hordes of Fiends. For me, I went on the left flank with a couple of my Mind Screeches. I have the Dread Fiend. I had a Scarecrow horde behind which was Soul Flares, Butcher Flesh Ripper, which has fallen off the base at this point, another horde of Scarecrows, Butcher Flesh Ripper, Horror Riftweaver, Scarecrows, Soul Flares, Butcher number 2 that fell off the base, and then it'll be Shadow Hulk, horde of Scarecrows, my last Soul Flare unit, and then on the very far right outside of the frame here is a troop of Reapers. So after this deployment, I put down my first token and we alternated. So I put 1 on the Mind Screech over here on the left. John did the opposite side, and we each ended up with 3 and 3 on both those units. So I'm just sitting here with 3, and you'll see this individual model. I use that as my Ronnie the Bard throughout the event. I don't actually have any individuals in the army. And John did the same. He put his Ronnie in the same unit as the 3 tokens. So we're both playing all of our eggs in one basket type style here. So I won the roll-off for first turn, and in push, just like invade, you almost always want to go first. So I did. The hill being a little difficult for my horde to fit, I'm actually where this little undo button is. So let's go ahead and move up. That's John's line. Yeah, these Archfiends were really, really great looking models here. And a little closer. So there's that Trooper Reaper. So I literally put him right up against the board edge. And my reasoning for that is his Fiends over here are going to be taller. So when they charge and hit, if they don't kill, I should be able to double charge. And then the Reapers, in order for the Reapers to fit, the Scarecrows have to slide all the way over, and then they just run straight forward. And there's my center as we described. So blurry picture here, but this is after my first turn of movement. So the Dread Fiend was able to run up, get out of front arc, and sit right over here. I shot some lightning bolts. I had a pretty darn good spike first turn. I think I did like 6 wounds, 7 wounds or something. It was ridiculous. No waiver or anything, but still quite good. Butchers kind of cocked in both ways like that. So basically just offering him charges on a lot of these little things. I don't really want to have to deal with these Archfiends trying to get over my lines and dance around and everything. I'd rather just let them kill something and then grind it out after that. So, and then pretty standard movement up here. Pushed up aggressively on the right flank, but realistically that's my weak flank over here. So I'm not necessarily looking to really get into combat over there quickly. A little bit better pictures left to right here. And these guys are supposed to be directly behind the unit that is sitting there. And a little overhead view for John's turn 1. So John basically said, screw it, I'm going to go ahead and charge. So I apologize, I didn't take a picture for his turn. I took it after my turn of movement here, but effectively John took the 2 Archfiends and these guys back here, which my unit was majority on the hill so he could see me. So he triple charged. Actually, I think he pushed forward so he could see me either way. But yeah, so 2 Archfiends and a hindered Shadowhound unit into these guys here. And then he just nudged everything else up a little bit. So he did something like 13, 14 wounds, somewhere in there, and did not pop the units. Or maybe it might have been a little more. Either way, they're really close to dead. He didn't quite kill him. So that's where they ended up. And then, yeah, John has no shooting. He has some fireball on his Archfiends, but they're pretty much never going to use it. So he just moved up a little bit and called it a day there. So failed to kill it. So now it's my turn too. And my Butcher that was sitting over here on the woods, you'll see right there, was angled in such a way that he could see into the front arc of the unit when it's sitting where it's supposed to be. We just ended up moving that hill because it was being annoying. But he was able to, that's this one actually, he was able to charge the flank of the Shadowhounds and killed it. And the other Butcher that was right here, I just moved forward, so pivoted, move forward, nimble pivot, move around an inch away from the hounds that were there still, and be able to threaten these Archfiends. After I killed this one, the Shadowhounds, I actually turned to face towards the center with this guy because I picked up this token and I don't really have a whole lot protecting this. The Dread Fiend did run up and is now going to overwatch this and force him to either turn and face or give me a flank or something like that for free. Um, and yeah, so finish up over on the left. I went ahead and charged the middle Archfiend as well. So the other one on the left here is going to be free to fly. I made it to where he's going to be in the flank of this Mind Screech, but won't be able to fit. And the other Mind Screech moved up. I shot all my Lightning Bolt, and for as good as I did the turn before doing 7 wounds, I did 0 wounds this turn. So, kind of equaling it out here. Yeah, so picked up that middle token, just really looking to hammer away. He is in range with some of these neophytes here. Again, I'm not terribly worried about that. I could have played it a little bit safer and not picked up the token this turn and waited to contain and kill the left flank here. But I felt pretty confident that the dogs were going to be gone and that I'm grounding one of his big guys. I mean, I don't expect to kill it, but I should be able to finish off these two with the 4 pieces that he's not able to touch this turn. He has to kill off the scarecrows here still, so... So I felt pretty confident, wanted to pick up that token and start forcing. It is turn 2, and this right flank, again, we want to delay as much as possible, so I actually back up over there. I back up a little bit with this unit as well, so we're really just looking to, slow down that right flank, and hopefully I'll win the left. I wind blasted Mikael back just an inch or two so he can't see my Butcher Flesh Ripper with the hill in the way there. But I can't get him out of range of charging everything, so he's going to be able to come in here and hold some stuff up. So a little bit better look at this left flank action here. And the center. And the right flank as well. So, John's turn, he went ahead and countercharged with this Archfiend. He then pivoted, moved, flew 10, pivot again over to here. He does just barely have my me in range to shoot here, so he's going to fireball onto my guy with the 3 tokens. And in the middle, he triple charged that horde, so hindered neophytes, hindered Archfiend, and then an unhindered neophyte. And it put him right here. He got the token. I believe he's going to put it on the center one. But reform-wise, there really wasn't any good options for him. So with this, he chose to just stay put. And then this Archfiend is actually facing the Horror if we were in the Horde here. And then he's kind of moved up, kept this guy in his front. He did charge in with the... they look like cats to me, but they're dogs, the Shadow Hounds. And then he also charged in with Mikael into the Soul Flares here. So I kind of saw it after the fact. I probably could have backed them up far enough so that he could not have charged me, but a hindered charge, he's going to have to come in at some point. So this positioning I'm actually okay with. He's right up against the Horde. He's not able to, character pivot and get anywhere else. So he's going to be pretty controlled and contained at this point, I feel. So I was perfectly fine with this. So an overview of what the board looks like going into my turn 3. So he puts a couple wounds. I think Mikael whiffed and only did 1, maybe 2 wounds to these guys. So So that was pretty lucky for me. And yeah, he was definitely going to kill that horde, so he finished it up. He also failed to do a wound to the Mind Screech. 10 fireball, but stealthy affects it, so he needed 5s and 4s. So I think 1 wound was probably about average, but unfortunate. So we're just measuring arcs here, looking that unit's dead, and a little bit close up there. Alright, so this is what I decide to do in response here. So let's back up real quick. So this Soulflare unit was able to see the back corner of the Neophyte unit that ended up picking up the token. So I decided that it was well worth going in and hitting this unit to eliminate the token and force it to stay there, because I felt confident that I was able to kill the other one as well. So we put in the Dread Fiend was in the rear, Butcher in the front. He stayed facing towards the Soul Flares here after this kill. So he took a flank from the Butcher. The Soul Flares are taking the front. We were just kind of grabbing each other, so I kept them back a little bit, but they are actually in combat. I moved up out of his front arc, pivoted, so we're going to lightning bolt here. And then it was just a couple counter charges, and my Shadow Hulk just backed up. I was not quite able to get Mikael in my front arc here. It was just a hair out. I was kind of hoping that I could have that option in the next turn to go punch Mikael with the Shadow Hulk, but wasn't meant to be. The good news is he can't hit me because he just physically cannot pivot, being flush up against the Scarecrow horde there. And yeah, so really just looking at, I know that I'm giving up some flanks here, but I'll have some good positioning, whether it's the Butchers, I expect that this Neophyte unit will die, and then I'll turn back to face. So really I feel confident that this token, all in all, just isn't going to get away from everything I have looking at it. And on the left here, I don't expect to kill the Archfiend, but at the very least, I'll be able to hopefully control it, maybe get a waiver. So a little close-ups on that left flank positioning. Positioning in the middle here. And on the right. And it should be said, I also know even if I kill this unit, I'm not in a good position because I can't reform. Again, it's just a trade that I'm willing to make at this point, knowing that I've controlled all of his big monsters. At this point, I'm just willing to simplify the game by trading one of my more expensive units for one of his 120, 125 point unit versus my 180 point unit. But I'm getting the token, I'm forcing him to then commit another unit here, which I'll be able to trade with going further from that. So this particular trade isn't terribly valuable for me, but it gets me in better position and forces him into more engagements effectively, so I can get more later on. And the right flank. So after shooting, I got pretty lucky. I did only 2 wounds with the lightning bolts, so this guy was up to 9 wounds total. And these guys are a 17-19, so I rolled a 10, and then I rolled a boxcars, and I said, no, I don't want you to play the game, John Green. I just really, really wanted that thing dead. And then his brother right next to it decided I wanted him dead too, and I I think I just rolled extremely well to hit to wound, and it already had a couple wounds on it, maybe more from the horde of scarecrows countercharging the prior turn. But yeah, I was definitely not expecting to kill either of those two. I was just really hoping for a waiver, and even if I don't waiver, to control them is all for future turns. But cleaning them up here on turn 3 really kind of set the game in a landslide in my favor at this point. I also ended up killing both the regiments of neophytes I charged. Turned the Dreadfiend around like so, ran forward with the Butcher, and then I actually decided that just turning around facing this way was going to be better for these guys. My thought process being is that they can actually see this Archfiend in that position, and then they could also see the unit that charges the Scarecrows here. So if by chance I don't get wavered or killed, because it is going to be a hindered charge, I actually have much better options looking in this direction right now. So, and I only did a few wounds, couple wounds, not enough to this Archfiend. And over on the right here, I failed to break the Shadow Hounds. I think I only did like 2 or 3 wounds. And then I don't think I did a single wound to Mikael this turn. So, used all my good luck on the left-hand side. So, can't complain about the right. So going into bottom of 3 for John, this is how the table looks. And this is how he decides to move forward. So he countercharges the Horror Riftweaver with his Fiend. And he flanks with the Neophytes. Both of them are hindered from this forest. This was the unit with the J-Boots. He was charging off the hill into my big boy, the Shadow Hulk. So he was, at this point he felt like he had to just kind of commit, get some attacks in here, and he's hoping to clean up, all 3 of these units he's engaged with. This horde's realistically not going anywhere, but if he kills these 2 units back here, then he can, hopefully turn to face the center with this horde and contest that objective that's over there that's needed to win the game. And after combats, he did 10 wounds to the Soul Flares in the flank there, but didn't get the 5 twice to kill him. He does kill the Horror Riftweaver, and let's take a look if we can see there. He does like 8 wounds, it looks like, to the Horde, but fails to break them. So this is after I've moved for my turn, it looks like, but my 4, I go ahead, take the flank, take the front with the against the Shadow or the Neophytes. He had turned around to accept this, so I take a double front over here. My Mind Screech with the token says I'm just gonna, be safe, and the other Mind Screech moves over, but everything's in combat, so realistically he's just coming over here as a kind of a backup measure just in case late in the game he's needed. And then we go ahead and countercharge everything we can over here. Yeah, so we're just in the thick of it at this point. So double charge. I did withdraw this unit. I had just enough room to stay out of an inch over here. So after the withdraw and between these guys, these Soul Flares are actually pretty well protected. The Archfiend, if it doesn't get wavered, it could withdraw and hit me in the flank there. And again, this is the unit that has the center token right now, so that's kind of the key thing to try and pick up. And the right flank. And I just reposition the Butcher facing this way, out of front arc of this unit. I know that he'll get into something eventually. Yep, just after. All right, so what the heck happened there? So I don't think I killed. Doesn't look like I killed anything here. I killed the troop of Shadowhounds in combat. And I think that was everything for this turn. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's everything. Everything else just stayed engaged. And I believe I waver these fiends at this point as well. So that helps the Shadow Hulk. I forget. I think he did like 10 wounds on the charge off the hill with the J boots, but after getting a waiver on the attack back, it was yeah, pretty useful there. So John came in. I'm skipping ahead here, but in John's turn, he came in with the horde against my horde. Ended up killing him. I believe Mikael finally finished off the soul flares there. I think I actually did waver this Archfiend because it looks like he's in the exact same position. And yeah, that's what it was. I wavered everything here. So it was a wavered Archfiend, waver Neophytes, both of them, and waver Horde of Fiends. So the only pieces that he had left that weren't wavered was Mikael and this Horde over here. So that's what happened. So on my turn 5 now, I believe, I just charge in, countercharge everything possible, and we go into combat here. I was able to drop the token with the soul flares here, and I hit the flank of this unit. I went ahead and charged Mikael with the Shadow Hulk. And that's what that looks like. And over here, again, just charge. Really nothing else to do. So we ended up popping both hordes between the flank and the front with these guys. The defense 4 just, they even with the 16-18, they just kind of fall over to those high quality, high volume attacks there. And I did kill this regiment, and I killed the Archfiend, so I believe I wavered the other Neophyte regiment again. And on his attack backs, he killed my Shadow Hulk with Mikael. And so right now I have everything. So this was his bottom 5, and I have everything looking at Mikael and everything looking at this regiment that's left. So top of 6, and we just go ahead and do the triple charge, and we John just had me roll Snake Eyes for the Neophytes, so I didn't actually move these guys in, but they would have been in the flank and whatnot, and then my Butcher picks up that token. But right now, the other 3 tokens, John again said the game's over. There's no way the tokens actually matter. So, but they would be on this Butcher if we were still showing or resembling that. And then after the triple charge, I did end up killing Mikael to bring it to a total wipe against John's Twilight in here. So in the end, it was a good game. But John and I were talking afterwards, and I just really questioned his aggressiveness on that turn 1 charge going in to these guys over here on the left. And John had a really good point. Looking at it from his perspective, he said that the only way he gets to those 3 tokens and effectively wins the game is if he can come in, blow that unit up before I have set up the kind of kill box, as it were, where I have 3 or 4 units just looking against each other, so that way anything that gets attacked, you just swarm in and kill whatever attacks it. But he was absolutely right over here. I did not set that up properly. I had one butcher looking in towards that unit. Otherwise, the soul flares were the only other thing. And in this situation, the soul flares couldn't get in, or even if they could, I didn't want them in with a combo charge. So his archfiends were relatively protected, and since I did 7 wounds on the first shooting with lightning bolt, it really kind of forces his hand to play that ultra aggressive mode. So when he described that, I absolutely agree and see where he's coming from with it. I was expecting a much different play style with triple archfiends of playing very very cautious, flying around the flanks of the map, looking for those jumping in and getting a flank on units. But John felt that he wasn't going to be able to do that effectively in this scenario and against my army. I'll be honest, I would have been much more afraid of that, and I felt like my army would have had more difficulties with tracking down flyers like that in that situation. But we just kind of both agreed it was a poor matchup, definitely heavily favored towards my army, especially with this scenario. Nonetheless, it was a really fun game, and John's always a gentleman and a great player to play. So I always enjoy my time that I get to play against him and spend time with him. So thank you again for the great game, John, and I look forward to seeing you again at Lone Wolf. So, and that for those that don't know, that's my next major tournament in April coming up here. So if you're going to be at Lone Wolf, hit me up. Let's talk some Kings of War. I'm always down for that. So. But that's all I got for you guys tonight. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next one. Game 4 should be up in a day or so.